Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling a subject that literally every single person listening, but almost none of us do enough of. And honestly, after reading this book, I am genuinely terrified.
Terrified? That's a strong opening, Sarah. We're talking about sleep, right? I mean, I love a good nap as much as the next guy, but I usually think of sleep as just downtime. The price we pay for being awake.
And that, Alex, is exactly the dangerous mindset that Matthew Walker is trying to dismantle in his book, Why We Sleep. This isn't just a book about feeling rested. It is a scientific manifesto that argues that sleep is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body health each day. Walker calls it Mother Nature's best effort yet at contra-death.
Contra death? Okay, you have my attention, but surely we can get by on less. I mean, look at successful CEOs, politicians. They always brag about sleeping 4 or 5 hours. The old saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right?
Walker addresses that specific maxim early on. He says if you adopt the mindset of, I'll sleep when I'm dead, you will be dead sooner. And the quality of that shorter life will be significantly worse. Here is a statistic to wake you up. Men who routinely sleep just 5 hours a night have testicles significantly smaller than those who sleep 7 hours or more.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Did you just say smaller testicles?
I did. And it's not just size. Their testosterone levels are that of someone 10 years their senior. So lack of sleep effectively ages you by a decade in terms of virility. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. We are talking about a global sleep loss epidemic that the World Health Organization is freaking out about. We need to break this down, chapter by chapter, because the science is absolutely undeniable.
Okay, I am officially wide awake now. Let's get into the mechanics. Why do we even fall asleep? I've always felt like I have two states, caffeinated and exhausted. How does the body actually decide it's time to shut down?
That is actually a perfect segue. Walker explains that there are two main factors determining your wakefulness. The first is your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour clock. It's like a sine wave that goes up and down, regardless of whether you've slept. But the second factor is something called sleep pressure, caused by a chemical called adenosine.
Adenosine. I've heard of that. That's the stuff caffeine fights, right?
Exactly. Think of adenosine like a chemical barometer. From the moment you wake up, it starts building up in your brain. The longer you are awake, the more adenosine accumulates and the sleepier you feel. It creates this heavy pressure to sleep. Now, caffeine is a cunning drug. It effectively hijacks the receptors in your brain that adenosine normally latches onto.
So it doesn't actually get rid of the sleepiness? It just hides it?
Precisely. It's like putting your fingers in your ears to block out a noise. The noise is still there. You just can't hear it. But here is the scary part, Alex. While the caffeine is blocking those receptors, the adenosine keeps building up. It doesn't stop. So when the caffeine finally wears off, when your liver metabolizes it, you get hit with the caffeine crash. You are suddenly hit by the adenosine you had before the coffee, plus all the extra adenosine that built up while you were caffeinated.
That explains the 2 p.m. slump, but I can handle a crash. I just drink more coffee. What I found really disturbing in the book was the discussion about spiders. Did you see that part? The NASA experiment?
Oh, the spider webs. Yes, that is a visual I will never unsee. NASA exposed spiders to different drugs: LSD, speed, marijuana, and caffeine. The spiders on LSD made somewhat abstract webs. The spiders on caffeine, they were completely incapable of constructing anything logical. The webs were a chaotic mess. And Walker makes the point: caffeine is the only addictive psychoactive stimulant we readily give to our children in soda. It's astonishing when you think about it.
Okay, so caffeine scrambles our brains like those spiders. But let's talk about the actual sleep. I used to think sleep was just off mode. But Walker describes it as this incredibly active, complex architecture. There's REM, NREM. Honestly, I get them mixed up. Can you break down what's actually happening when we close our eyes?
Sure. So we cycle through two main types of sleep: NREM, non-rapid eye movement, and REM, rapid eye movement. And they have totally different functions. Think of NREM, specifically deep sleep, as the save button for your brain. It's a state of reflection. Your brain waves slow down to this rhythmic, shamanic chant. This is when your brain moves facts from short-term storage to long-term storage.
The save button. I like that. So if I don't get deep sleep, I essentially lose the data from the day?
Exactly. You become an amnesiac. Walker describes experiments where students who pull all-nighters show a 40% deficit in their ability to cram new facts into their brains compared to those who slept. The memory inbox, the hippocampus, effectively shuts down without sleep. But here is the kicker. Deep non-REM sleep happens mostly in the first half of the night. REM sleep, dream sleep, happens mostly in the second half, the early morning hours.
So if I go to bed late, I miss the deep sleep? And if I wake up early, I miss the REM?
Spot on. And this is critical. If you wake up 2 hours early, you don't just lose 25% of your sleep. You might lose 60 to 90% of your REM sleep. And REM is vital for emotional sanity and creativity. It's when the brain connects disparate pieces of information. Walker calls it informational alchemy. It's why you can go to bed with a problem and wake up with a solution.
That explains why I'm so grumpy when I have to get up at 5 a.m. for a flight. I've literally cut out my emotional therapy session. But Sarah, let's play devil's advocate. I know people who sleep 6 hours and seem fine. Are they mutants? Or are they just slowly dying and don't know it?
This is where the book gets truly terrifying, Alex. There is a very rare gene, a subvariant of gene BHLE41 that allows people to survive on 6 hours. But do you know what percent of the population has it? 0. It's a fraction of 1%. You are more likely to be struck by lightning than to have this gene. For the rest of us, 6 hours is functionally indistinguishable from being sleep deprived.
Okay, but functionally indistinguishable sounds like science talk for a bit tired. Is it really that bad?
Let's talk about the brain sewage system. This was one of the most mind-blowing parts of the book for me. There is a system called the glymphatic system. It uses cerebrospinal fluid to wash away metabolic toxins that build up in your brain during the day. One of those toxins is beta amyloid.
Beta amyloid. That sounds familiar. Isn't that linked to Alzheimer's?
It is the leading cause. And here's the thing. This cleaning process only happens during deep sleep. The brain cells literally shrink by 60% to allow the fluid to flush through. If you don't sleep, that toxic plaque builds up. Walker presents evidence that insufficient sleep is a key lifestyle factor determining whether or not you will develop Alzheimer's. It's a direct causal link.
That is heavy. So it's not just about feeling groggy, it's about long-term brain damage. But what about the body? You mentioned contra death earlier. How does missing a few hours of sleep actually kill you?
Let's look at the heart. There is a global experiment performed on 1.6 billion people twice a year. It's called daylight savings time. In the spring, when we lose 1 hour of sleep, heart attacks spike by 24% the following day. In the autumn, when we gain an hour, they drop by 21%. That is how fragile our bodies are to even minor sleep loss.
That is absolutely wild. 1 hour? That's it?
1 hour. And it gets worse. Let's talk cancer. We have these amazing immune cells called natural killer cells. They are like the James Bond of your immune system. They identify dangerous foreign elements like cancer cells and eliminate them. One night of 4 hours of sleep sweeps away 70% of your natural killer cells. You become immunologically naked.
70%? That seems impossibly high for just one night.
That is the data. And it's why the World Health Organization has classified nighttime shift work as a probable carcinogen. We are literally working ourselves to death. And Alex, we haven't even touched on weight gain. When you sleep less, your hunger hormone, ghrelin, spikes, and your fullness hormone, leptin, is suppressed. You become biologically wired to overeat.
Okay, you've thoroughly scared me. I'm imagining everyone listening is currently canceling their late night plans. But let's talk about the mind again. We touched on REM sleep being emotional therapy. I've noticed that if I have a fight with my wife and don't sleep well, I'm a monster the next day. Is that just me being cranky, or is there science there?
It is absolutely science. Walker describes REM sleep as overnight therapy. It strips the painful emotional sting from our memories. But when you are sleep deprived, the connection between your amygdala, the primitive emotional center, and your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, is severed. You lose the brake on your emotions. In studies, sleep-deprived brains showed a 60% amplification in emotional reactivity. You literally revert to a primitive pattern of uncontrolled reactivity.
So we're walking around like emotional toddlers because we haven't had our nap. That explains so much about road rage and Twitter.
Exactly. But it's serious. This lack of emotional regulation contributes to anxiety, depression, and even suicide. Walker discusses how REM sleep is essential for decoding facial expressions. Without it, we mistake friends for foes. The world becomes a more threatening place.
All right, Sarah, we've established that lack of sleep destroys our memory, gives us Alzheimer's, stops our immune system from fighting cancer, and makes us emotional wrecks. The obvious question is, can we fix it? Millions of people take sleeping pills. Is that the answer?
This is one of the most controversial chapters. Walker is very clear. No, sleeping pills do not provide natural sleep. They are sedatives. They effectively knock out your cortex. The electrical signature of sleep on pills is deficient. It lacks the deep, restorative brainwaves. And worse, they effectively erase memory benefits. In animal studies, Ambien caused a 50% weakening of brain cell connections formed during learning.
So taking an Ambien to sleep before a big presentation might actually make me stupider the next day? That seems counterintuitive.
It gets darker. Epidemiological studies show that individuals taking sleeping pills are significantly more likely to die and to develop cancer than those who do not, even occasional users. Walker argues we need to stop using pills and start using CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. It's harder work than popping a pill, but it actually fixes the problem without killing you.
Okay, so pills are out. What about society? We force kids to wake up at 6 a.m. for school. We glorify the 80-hour work week. Is this just cultural stupidity?
It is lunacy. Walker is passionate about this. Teenagers have a biological shift in their circadian rhythm. Asking a teen to wake up at 7 a.m. is like asking an adult to wake up at 4 a.m. It's torture. When schools delay start times to 8:30 a.m., academic scores go up. And get this, car accidents among teens drop by 70%. 70%! We are literally killing our kids with early start times.
And doctors? The residents working 30-hour shifts?
That system was invented by William Halsted, a cocaine addict. He could stay awake for days because he was on drugs, and he built the medical residency system in his image. The result? Residents working 30-hour shifts make 460% more diagnostic errors. They kill patients because they are tired. It is a broken system.
This book is heavy, Sarah. It's a wake-up call, pun intended. So what is the takeaway? If I want to live longer and not have my brain rot, what do I do tonight?
The number one rule is regularity. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. even weekends. Keep your room cool, about 65 degrees. Darkness is non-negotiable. Get those LEDs out of the bedroom. And avoid alcohol and caffeine. Sleep isn't a luxury, Alex. It's a non-negotiable biological necessity. It is your life support system.
Well, I'm sold. I'm going to go home, tape over my VCR clock lights. Do people still have VCRs? And turn down the thermostat. Thanks for breaking this down, Sarah.
My pleasure. Sleep well, everyone.